Welcome to the Dice Tower. I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Joy Evans.
And today we have a Skyrockets Festivals of Fire.
You see that? Those are my fireworks.
Nice. So thematically in this game, we are apparently making that noise all the time. So we are magicians, and it's summertime and school's out, and we have nothing better to do but go to dusty old library shelves and find the most dangerous books possible. Indoor or outdoor firecrackerness?
Firecrackerness.
Yes.
It's a real word. Looked it up.
Anyways, I'm going to show you how it plays. Skyrockets is a real-time cooperative game while everyone is playing and working together to get all of these timers to keep running without them running out. And you will do that while flipping over a timer on this track whenever it's empty. Players will play a card every turn and then draw a card. The cards look like this. As you can see, there's two different types of timers. When you play a card, those timers will flip over immediately, and then you'll continue doing so. So play a card, draw a card, play a card, draw a card. Now, this timer over here is a little bit different than just flipping over a timer. You have to wait till it's completely empty. Once it is fully run out, then you can play a card of that color and you can flip over that timer to the next space. You have to get this timer all the way down to the bottom before running out of these timers up here to win the game. Skyrockets has 28 scenarios, and the scenarios will show you how the rules change and how stuff is set up differently. For example, this one says everyone starts with 4 cards in hand. We have some timers that are face up, where some timers are laid down and they will not start until a card is played, where they will then stand up and start running. It also says some basic things like, hey, play the basic rules, do whatever. Some of them will change stuff where you'll have timers on top of the deck where you won't be able to play or draw anything from the deck until the timers are flipped over. And then they may flip back onto the deck when you flip them for a second time. So there's just a variety of things that can happen with that. But the basic game is play a card, draw a card, keep all the timers going until this gets to the end. All right, so now that you got a feel for that,
Yep.
Let's talk about components.
Yes, let's do.
How do you feel about timers in games in general? I always worry that they'll stick. Sometimes they stick. I haven't had that problem with this game so far.
I worry about it, but it hasn't happened a lot. So I think as a kid, those used to stick a lot. I used to have those time games where you look down and you're like, it really should be over by now. And you start tapping it.
Your turn was too long.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. It hasn't happened. But no, obviously it's going to be compared to kites a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So these are, I like these style of timers. I like the designs on them. I love how I try to figure out the whole physics behind which timers are the longest, and it's just, I don't know. I don't know if the sand's bigger. I don't know if the hole's bigger. I don't know. I'm not a math guy.
I assume there's more sand. Like if you look at them.
That's why I tried to.
If you look at them, this one, the blue one is significantly shorter than the orange one.
Maybe. It's above my pay grade. But that is one of those things that I do like, how I'm like, okay, I flipped that one. I was like, why am I flipping it again? I just flipped it.
Yeah.
So
what I enjoy about this game is the campaign. So as Joey said,
right.
It is very similar to kites, but kites is kind of one note across the board. Like you do a thing, you do it a bunch of times,
yep.
And at some point you're kind of done with that thing, with the whole flipping over timers as you play cards. But this has a campaign, and so you start out the very basic level. You're like, oh, I got this. This is easy.
Right.
But there's 28 different scenarios in this campaign, and there's a you can go through it as a campaign, or you can just skip through. There's like a little sheet of paper that, lets you keep track of your score on how terrible you are. Yep. I'll tell you what, though, we did great the first few games, and then we got to like card 6, and suddenly we're like, what? This isn't possible. Like, I can't do this.
There's that moment sometimes you get, and you're like, oh, we can't win at this time. And it's just because it's not only flipping the ones that are running out, it's flipping the ones that you've already flipped. It's like, I just flipped that one. You can't flip it again, because if you do, we'll have like 10 seconds to do it again. And you've got to move quickly. And I love those decisions. And again, like you said, kites, you play it once and you're like, okay, I get it. Yeah. This one, you want to dive in. It's like the crew. You have that campaign. You want to do the same friends. Hope for the same friends. Don't have somebody jump in at like 15. I'll hate you.
You're only allowed 3 friends.
Yeah, that is it.
Total.
That is it in this game. But I love the way everything builds.
I think that like you said with the crew, this teaches you as you go.
Right.
So you're ready to add in a new skill, and so I like that progression. Now, there was definitely a game that we set up that I knew from the beginning. I was like, this is not possible. Like, just the way that the cards were laid out, this is not going to be possible. And that may happen. But I don't think that will happen a lot in the campaign. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give this a 7.5.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the cards. I enjoyed the way that it mixes up, but I also enjoyed the base game. You know, it was a good, solid thing for that. I also like that you have 3 mulligans, or like 3 dud fireworks that go off. And so if you make those little mistakes, you can. And if you time your mistakes right, then maybe you will succeed.
Right.
So there's some really good stuff going on.
And at first, with those mulligans, you feel like you won't need them on the first training. And then later, you're like, I'm going to whale through all of those really quick.
Yeah.
And it really happens. And I like how you can lay the timers down, you bring it back up, and that whole mechanic. There's so much to like about this game. And the fact that it climbs. As you play it, you get so many more plays. And there's a lot of luck with how the cards come out, but it's a 5 or 10 minute game. So just run it back and do it again. I give this an 8. I actually really enjoy it. This is what I really wanted Kites to be. And I don't know, apparently I do like timers a lot because it's really fun. I do find myself knocking them over as you reach over to flip them around, but that's part of the fun.
All the time.
I do cheat a lot.
You know what? I appreciate games that explore mechanisms.
Right.
And I feel like this explores the mechanisms of flipping over timers and timing it, right?
Yep, I agree.
And so I appreciate that. You know, sometimes you'll move timers around the time track, which is pretty standard in the basic mode, but sometimes you'll put those timers on your cards and you can't draw cards while the timer's on your cards or someone else's cards, and so you flip them off, you put them back on. It's just, it's very fascinating.
It almost has that legacy feel where you're like, ooh, we're doing that this time? Well, that's clever. It's like, oh, you can blind draw? What? Let's do that. I like that. Good push your luck stuff.
There we go.
That's good.
Well, I'm Wendy Yee.
I'm Joy Evans.
And we want you to all have fun with your fireworks.